Obsolete Calculus is destroying STEM students, until now, with 21st century solutions. Most of today's math books and courses, especially for calculus, are totally obsolete and actually hurting a student's chances of succeeding with math. Many people currently have a bad relationship with math because they've learned to see it as a demoralizing testing tool, not as something that can empower their lives. This does not need to be the case, though. What the problem boils down to is constrained teachers, bad test makers, and greedy publishing companies that have caused learning math to stagnate. We want to help reverse that trend. Now note that I said succeeding with math, as opposed to succeeding in math. These mean two very different things, but are too often regarded as the same in classrooms. Succeeding in math, or better said, in the field of math, is reserved mainly for those interested in learning the reasons behind how math works and how it is created. That is for people interested in becoming some sort of mathematician. Succeeding with math should be seen as the same as learning how to use a hammer, not how the hammer is made, and should be taught differently than how to succeed in math. However, this split usually doesn't occur until upper-level undergraduate courses in college. Our company was so upset with how out-of-date almost every single calculus book was that we invested a large portion of our efforts into seeing if we could realistically design a cheap, modern-day calculus program with the goal of empowering the student as opposed to testing them, and we found that it was completely possible. And make no mistake that that's what almost all calculus courses systematically act as, especially in college. They're in place to see if you are quote-unquote good enough to be in STEM studies. This is a horrible use of a naturally amazing concept. So here's the history behind the problem. Calculus was invented a little over 300 years ago thanks to Newton and Leibniz. Most of the manual techniques to solve calculus problems were invented around 200 years ago, thanks in most part to Euler. These are a lot of the same techniques that are taught in almost every single calculus course today. Those techniques, along with slide rules, were the best tools people had for a long time until the computer, and more importantly the calculator, came along a little over 60 years ago. The calculator made the slide rule obsolete. Humanity now has even stronger and practically free tools, but the math ed industry doesn't want to acknowledge them because it makes all of their textbooks and teachings obsolete. This is the exact same thing that calculators did to slide rules about 50 years ago, but now it's happening to a much larger degree because the tools are seriously that powerful. If you're like me, then you'd be asking, is this believable? Well, go ask someone majoring in mechanical engineering how they solve their math problems in labs or shops. They'll more than likely tell you that they formulate the problem themselves, but they use a computational engine to solve it in a matter of seconds. Now ask a math teacher how they solve their problems, and they'll likely turn to manual techniques, a calculator, or simply tell you that they don't know how to solve it. This is because many math teachers today specialized as education majors in college, so they could be certified teachers, and they didn't really study STEM. And as such, they weren't forced to look for time-efficient ways to get the job done that STEM professionals had to learn in order to survive. The current math ed system victimizes teachers as much as the students. So now you're probably asking, what is this tool that makes calculators and calculus courses obsolete? Well, the number one answer is Wolfram Alpha. For those of you who don't know, Wolfram Alpha came out in 2009 as a browser-based form of Steve Wolfram's program, Mathematica. The major difference is that Wolfram Alpha is free to use and it doesn't require learning the Mathematica programming language. You can type in your commands in a natural language input. This is a huge difference that allows people to easily learn how to solve any of the math problems that they'll run into in STEM studies. So, why don't more people know about tools like Wolfram Alpha? I mean, it's been out for what, close to 7 years now. Well, professionals dealing with math problems sure do know, but they're generally not our society's math teachers, especially not our high school teachers. And that's the crazy thing. You want your kids to be learning about these tools from the start. It allows for a much more creative and ultimately useful understanding of math's beautifully simple concepts, but without the clutter of archaic techniques. So, let's recap on why almost all calculus courses are out of date today. 1. The material is grossly out of date. 2. Test makers have zero clue on how and what to actually test. And 3. Teachers are constrained by testing material and certifications. Here's what we propose a calculus course should look like. 1. The material should consist of the core concepts and the best current tools. 2. Tests should focus on preparation for real life, not placement or rankings. And 3. Teachers should be empowered by enabling self-paced learning through current tools. And honestly, that template should apply to practically any math course. If you guys want to learn more about Wolfram Alpha, feel free to check out our videos showing the caliber of problems it can tackle. Feel free to leave any questions or comments below for us. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in future videos.